They thought no help was coming. Then human warship came roaring from the void. The UES Retribution emerges from hyperspace, unleashing devastating railgun salvos that cripple the Raider command vessel instantly. Captain Murphy's voice echoes through the settlement. Help has arrived. As Marines in exosuits neutralize the ground forces, desperate colonists weep with relief, salvation appearing in their darkest hour. The bioluminescent glow from the crystal veins woven through the cavern walls had once been a source of wonder for the inhabitants of Aurora settlement. Now, as Administrator Markella stood in the central hub, that same light cast eerie shadows across the concerned faces of her people. 6 months ago, the mining colony on Kepler 874b had been a model of prosperity. The crystalline resources they extracted were prized across 3 systems. Their hydroponic farms produced surplus crops, and the orbital relay tower maintained constant communication with trading partners. Tonight, everything was different. Administrator, we've lost contact with the eastern tunnels again, Chief Engineer Talsor reported, his 4-fingered hands moving rapidly across the settlement's main control interface. The ridges along his blue-gray scalp pulsed with stress, bioluminescence, a physiological trait of the Zilani that made emotional states impossible to hide. The power conduits are failing faster than we can repair them. Markella nodded grimly. Her own cranial ridges emitted a dull amber glow of concern as she studied the settlement schematics. How long before complete failure? At current degradation rates, 4 days, perhaps 5. Talsor's voice dropped to a whisper. And that's if we continue rationing life support to residential sections only. From behind them came the rhythmic tap of a walking staff against the stone floor. Elder Arsha approached, her ancient form moving with deliberate grace despite the urgency surrounding her. The patterns, etched into her staff, representing the 5,000 years of Zilani history, caught the light as she moved. "The young ones grow frightened," she said, her voice carrying the musical lilt characteristic of the settlement's spiritual leaders. "I have been singing the crystal songs to them, but they sense our worry." Markella placed a respectful hand on the elder's shoulder. "Your songs bring comfort when my words cannot. Elder, please continue your efforts while we—" The conversation halted as Trader Voss Remun burst into the chamber, his typically immaculate trade vestments disheveled and stained with coolant fluid. As the settlement's primary liaison with off-world merchants, Remun's appearance alone told a story of desperation. "Nothing," he gasped, collapsing into a nearby chair. 17 separate frequencies, emergency channels included. I've transmitted to every trading partner from here to the Cygnus Arm. No responses." Markella felt her heart sink. "The Guild. Surely they would—" "Gone silent," Remun interrupted, his voice hollow. "Same with the Concordiate patrols and the Rigelian merchantmen. It's as if—" He struggled to find the words. "It's as if someone has deliberately isolated this sector." A tremor ran through the chamber, subtle at first, then violent enough to send dust cascading from the ceiling. Crystal fragments tinked against the floor as monitoring screens flickered. Alarms began to wail throughout the settlement. "Status report!" Markella demanded, steadying herself against a console. Talsor's fingers flew across the interface, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Massive energy signatures in orbit. Multiple vessels. They're not broadcasting identification. They're firing on the power array." The screens displayed the orbital view from their remaining functional cameras. 5 sleek, predatory vessels had appeared without warning, their hulls black against the stars. Energy weapons lanced down from their positions, striking the settlement's primary power collection array with surgical precision. "Evacuation protocols," Markella ordered, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her bioluminescent response. "Talsor, get all non-essential personnel to the deep caverns. Remun, ready the emergency shuttles." Raymoon's expression fell further. The communication shuttle? It's already gone. Direct hit, from what I could see on approach to the hangar. Another blast rocked the settlement, more violent than the first. The main lights failed, plunging the command center into darkness before emergency lighting bathed everything in a blood-red glow. "Administrator!" a technician's voice called from across the room. "Temperature sensors in the outer tunnels are spiking. Life support is failing." Markella moved swiftly to the central command table, bringing up a holographic display of the settlement systems. The image flickered erratically, data streams interrupted by damage to the sensors. Seal all compartments with atmosphere breaches," she ordered. "Reroute emergency power to critical life support only. How long can we maintain breathable conditions?" Talsor's calculations were quick but grim. With current damage and assuming no further attacks, 72 hours at most. The implications hung heavy in the air. 20,000 colonists, 3 days of air, no communications, no escape vessels, no help coming. Elder Arsha's weathered hand found Markella's arm. "There is always hope, child. Even in the darkest caverns, crystals find a way to glow." Markella stared at the tactical display, at the 5 hostile ships now settling into orbit around their world. A decision crystallized in her mind. Desperate, perhaps foolish, but the only option remaining. "The emergency relay," she said suddenly. "The one built into the mountain core." Talsor looked up sharply. "It was never fully tested. The power requirements alone would drain our remaining reserves by half. And if we don't use it, we die anyway." Markella countered. "Prepare the relay. We're sending out a last-chance beacon." "To whom?" Remon asked, despair evident in his voice. "No one is answering." Markella's gaze turned upward, toward the rock ceiling and the stars beyond. "To anyone, to everyone. We cast our need into the void and pray something kind finds us." In the engineering section, deep within the settlement's core, junior technician Kara Venn worked feverishly to recalibrate the emergency relay. Unlike the settlement's standard communications array, this system had been designed as a last resort, a powerful omnidirectional signal meant to cut through interference and reach across vast distances. It had never been activated before, not in the 47 years since Aurora Settlement's founding. "Power coupling integrity at 63%, Kara reported, her young voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "That's the best I can manage with the damage to the primary conduits." Markella nodded, watching as engineers and technicians made final adjustments to the ancient machinery. The relay station had been built into the most secure section of the cavern system, surrounded by the densest concentration of crystal formations. The Zilani ancestors had believed the crystals amplified psychic energies, while modern Zilani understood the scientific limitations of such beliefs. They had nonetheless incorporated the crystals into their technology designs. "Will 63% be enough?" Markella asked. Kara hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The signal should reach at least 3 neighboring systems. But we don't know if anyone is listening," Markella finished for her. A violent tremor shook the chamber, sending several technicians sprawling. The lights flickered ominously. "They've begun a ground assault," Talsor reported, reading data from his portable terminal. "Sonic disruptors. They're trying to crack the cavern integrity." As if to punctuate his words, a distant sound of splintering rock echoed through the tunnels, followed by screams. Markella's ridges flashed with alarm. "We need that relay online now," she ordered. "Elder Arsha, take the children deeper into the Sanctum Caves. Remun, organize defense teams at the main access points." Kara Venn stepped forward, her young features set with determination. "Administrator, we have a problem. The relay's activation sequence requires a direct connection to the power source during initialization. Someone needs to stay at the control node to maintain the connection." "So," Markella asked, not understanding the hesitation. "The control node is outside the radiation shielding," Kara explained quietly. Whoever stays to complete the activation will receive a lethal dose within minutes. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Markella opened her mouth to respond. But before she could speak, Kara continued. I've already calculated the sequence. I know exactly what needs to be done. The young technician's ridges glowed with a steady, resolved blue. Let me do this. Administrator. My parents died defending this settlement during the Scorch Plague. This is my home too. Another impact shook the cavern. Closer this time. Dust and crystal fragments showered down upon them. From the tunnels leading to the residential sectors came the sounds of panic, cries, and running footsteps. Markella looked into Kara's eyes and saw no fear, only determination. With a heavy heart, she nodded once. May the crystals remember your light, she said softly, using the traditional Zilani blessing for the departed. Kara smiled. They're not remembering it yet. Administrator. First, I'm going to make it shine. The young technician moved swiftly to the control node, her fingers flying across the interface as she began the activation sequence. The massive relay machinery hummed to life, the crystal formations embedded within it beginning to glow with increasing intensity. Everyone clear the chamber, Talsor called out. Radiation levels rising. The engineering team retreated behind the heavy shielding doors, leaving only Kara at the controls. Through the observation window, Markella watched as the young woman worked, her movements precise despite the danger. Signal powering up. Kara's voice came through the communication system. 30%, 50%. Another impact rocked the settlement, more violent than any before. Warning alarms blared as structural integrity alerts flashed across the monitoring screens. Outer tunnels are collapsing, someone reported. Life support failing in sections 3 through 7. Bypass the safety protocols, Markella ordered through the comm. Maximum power to the relay. On the other side of the shielding, Kara nodded. Her hands moved to override the system safeguards, pushing the ancient machinery beyond its tested limits. 70%. 90%. Her voice was growing weaker, the effects of radiation already taking their toll. Relay at full power, transmitting. Now. A blinding light erupted from the crystal array as the relay discharged its energy into space. The power surge was so intense that for a moment, every light in the settlement dimmed. Through the observation window, Markella could see Kara slumped over the controls, her duty fulfilled. Signal sent, Talsor confirmed, his voice tight with emotion. Maximum range achieved. Markella bowed her head. Get a medical team to retrieve Technician Ven. She deserves our best efforts, however futile they may be. As the emergency teams rushed to the relay chamber, Markella turned her attention to the settlement's remaining defenses. The raiders had breached the outer tunnels and were advancing steadily inward, their sonic disruptors cracking the crystal-reinforced walls as they came. In the central gathering space, panic had given way to grim determination as colonists armed themselves with mining tools and whatever else could serve as weapons. Elder Arsha had led the youngest children into the deepest chambers, where the thickest crystal formations might provide some protection. Her ancient voice could be heard even now, singing the traditional songs that had sustained the Zilani through countless hardships. How much time have we bought ourselves? Markella asked Talsor as they hurried toward the defensive positions. The engineer checked his readings. Life support is critical in half the settlement. We're rerouting what we can. But with the power drained from the relay, he shook his head. Maybe 48 hours now, not 72. And the raiders? Still advancing. Their disruptors are specifically calibrated to shatter our crystal reinforcements. Talsor's voice hardened. This isn't random, Administrator. They knew exactly what to target and how. Markella nodded grimly. So we were betrayed before we were attacked. A nearby monitor suddenly flickered, static washing across the screen, before briefly forming into a pattern that almost resembled a response signal. Markella and Talsor froze, watching intently as the pattern stabilized for a moment, then disappeared entirely. "Was that?" Markella began. "I don't know," Talsor replied, already working to analyze the brief signal. "It could have been feedback from the relay, or someone heard us." Markella finished. Hope, dangerous and fragile, threatened to rise within her. She quickly suppressed it. "Keep monitoring all frequencies. I need to coordinate our defense." As she moved away, Markella couldn't help but glance back at the now dark screen. In that momentary pattern of static, she had almost thought she'd seen an unfamiliar symbol, geometric and precise, unlike the flowing script of any species she recognized. But it had been there, and gone too quickly to be sure. And with raiders advancing through their home, she had more immediate concerns than phantom signals. In the deep black between stars, 300,000 kilometers from the beleaguered colony, space-time itself seemed to shudder. A pinpoint of intense blue-white light appeared where nothing had been moments before, rapidly expanding into a swirling vortex of energy. From within this artificial rift emerged the unmistakable silhouette of a warship, angular, purpose-built, and bristling with weapon systems that spoke of advanced technology and lethal intent. On the bridge of the UES Retribution, Captain Jaya Murphy stood with hands clasped behind her back, dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The jump had been perfect, emerging close enough to assess the situation, but far enough to avoid immediate detection. "Status report," she ordered, her voice carrying the crisp authority that had earned her both respect and occasional resentment among the crew. "Jump drive cooling sequence initiated, Captain." Her executive officer, Commander Wei, reported, "All systems nominal despite the extended transit." Murphy nodded, her attention fixed on the holographic representation of the Kepler system now displayed before her. 5 unidentified vessels orbited the fourth planet, their energy signatures pulsing with weapons discharge. "Analysis of the attackers?" she asked. Lieutenant Commander Okafor, her tactical officer, responded immediately. "Configuration matches known raider patterns from the Perseus arm conflicts. Captain, modular frigates, likely heavily modified with black market weapon systems. 5 vessels total, 1 command ship, 4 support." "And the colony?" The science officer, Lieutenant Dasgupta, stepped forward. "Kepler 874b, designated mining colony, Aurora settlement. Population approximately 20,000 Zilani. Established 47 years ago." She paused, her expression grave. "Sensors indicate critical damage to their orbital infrastructure and significant energy fluctuations in their subterranean habitat. Life support appears compromised." Murphy's expression remained impassive, but her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly behind her back. "The distress signal originated from this colony?" "Yes, Captain." Communications Officer Ramirez confirmed. "A non-standard emergency transmission. Extremely powerful but unfocused. They were broadcasting in all directions, which is why we detected it despite being outside standard patrol routes." The captain was silent for a moment, considering. The Retribution had been 3 systems away on a routine patrol when they detected the desperate signal. They had pushed their experimental jump drive beyond recommended parameters to reach the Kepler system this quickly. "Comm traffic between the raiders?" she asked. "Encrypted, but voluminous," Ramirez replied. "They appear to be coordinating a ground assault." Murphy straightened. Decision made. Tactical analysis suggests these are opportunistic raiders, not part of an organized military force. They're not expecting opposition. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. "Their command vessel is here, coordinating the attack from high orbit. The other 4 maintain lower positions to support ground operations." She turned to face her bridge crew fully. "Our objectives are clear. Neutralize the raider threat, render aid to the colony, and secure the system. Commander Wei, prepare for combat maneuvers, Lieutenant Commander Okafor, charge all weapon systems but hold fire until my command. Lieutenant Dasgupta, I want detailed scans of the colony's structural integrity. Lieutenant Ramirez, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies once we engage. Her orders given. Murphy returned her gaze to the tactical display. Navigator, plot and intercept course. Full stealth approach until we're in optimal firing position relative to their command vessel. The bridge crew responded with practiced efficiency, the tension palpable but controlled. The Retribution's engines engaged, pushing the warship forward on an approach vector calculated to minimize detection. Captain, Commander Wei said quietly, stepping closer to Murphy's position. The colony's life support is already critical. If we delay for tactical positioning, we won't get a second chance at surprise. Commander. Murphy interrupted, though not unkindly. One perfect strike against their command vessel will create maximum confusion among the remaining raiders. Her expression softened slightly. But your concern is noted. We'll move as quickly as stealth allows. Wei nodded and returned to his station. Murphy kept her eyes forward, watching as the distance to the unsuspecting raiders steadily decreased. Ground assault teams, stand ready in Drop Bay 1, she ordered through the ship-wide communication system. Medical teams to Drop Bay 2, engineering support to Drop Bay 3. This is not a drill. Throughout the massive warship, men and women rushed to their assigned stations with the precision that came from countless hours of training. In the armory, Marines checked their exosuits and non-lethal suppression weapons. In the medical bay, doctors and medics prepared portable life support units and emergency treatments for Zilani physiology. In engineering, specialists loaded modular power generators and atmospheric processors onto drop shuttles. On the bridge, the tactical officer's voice cut through the controlled chaos. Optimal firing position in 30 seconds. Captain. Murphy nodded, her focus absolute. Prepare to broadcast identification on all frequencies the moment we fire. I want the colony to know help has arrived. 20 seconds. The Retribution's weapon systems hummed as energy built within them, railguns extending from recessed positions along the hull. 10 seconds. Murphy drew a slow breath, centering herself for what would come next. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire! She commanded. The Retribution's railguns discharged simultaneously, accelerating projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed. The streaks of superheated metal crossed the void in seconds, striking the Raider command vessel with devastating precision. The kinetic impact sheared through the hostile ship's engines and weapon systems, leaving its core structure intact, but effectively neutralized. At the same moment, Lieutenant Ramirez activated the ship's communication array. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Captain. Murphy stepped forward. Attention hostile vessels. This is Captain Jaya Murphy of the UES Retribution. Your command vessel has been disabled. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will respond with lethal force. To the Aurora settlement, hold position. Help has arrived. The effect of the Retribution's sudden appearance was immediate and dramatic. The remaining Raider vessels, caught completely by surprise, broke formation and scattered in different directions. Without coordination from their command ship, their movements became chaotic and disorganized. Enemy vessels attempting to jump to FTL, Okafor reported. 3 are charging drive systems. Target their engines with point defense beams, Murphy ordered. Disable, don't destroy. The Retribution's secondary weapons engaged, precise energy beams lancing out to strike the fleeing Raiders' propulsion systems. One by one, the hostile ships lost maneuverability, left drifting in space with their primary systems overloaded. Launch assault teams, Murphy commanded. Secure the colony entrance points first, then push inward. Medical and engineering teams to follow once the perimeter is secured. Throughout the colony, the defenders had been bracing for the final assault. The Raiders had breached multiple access tunnels and were steadily advancing toward the central chambers. Makeshift barricades had been erected at key junctions, defended by colonists armed with mining tools and desperate courage. Markella moved between defensive positions, offering encouragement where she could. The raiders' sonic disruptors had created spiderweb cracks throughout the crystal-reinforced tunnels. Several sections had already collapsed entirely, burying defenders and attackers alike. "Hold this junction," she instructed a group of miners who had fashioned shields from processing equipment. "If they break through here, they'll have direct access to the residential chambers." Suddenly, the quality of light throughout the tunnels changed. The emergency lighting flickered, then stabilized with greater intensity than before. Comm systems that had been dead or sporadic crackled to life. "Bah, is Captain Jaya Murphy of the UES Retribution. Your command vessel has been disabled. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will respond with lethal force. To the Aurora settlement, hold position. Help has arrived." For a moment, there was complete silence throughout the tunnels as the message registered. Then, a sound Markella had not heard in months, cheering, spreading from chamber to chamber as the message was relayed. "Administrator!" Talsor called out, rushing toward her position with his portable terminal. "Unknown vessel in orbit. It's engaged the raiders." Markella stared at the grainy imagery on the screen, trying to comprehend what she was seeing. A massive ship, at least 5 times the size of the largest raider vessel, had appeared seemingly from nowhere and disabled the hostile command ship with a single salvo. "Who are they?" she asked, scarcely daring to hope. "Which system?" Talsor shook his head, equally bewildered. "The design doesn't match any registered Concordiate or Guild vessel. And the identification, UES. I don't recognize the designation." Before Markella could respond, the sound of combat erupted from the nearest tunnel junction, but different from before. Instead of the raiders' sonic disruptors, she heard short, sharp bursts of an unfamiliar weapon. The raiders' return fire became sporadic, then ceased entirely. Through the tunnel came figures unlike any Markella had seen before. Bipedal, but encased in sleek, mechanized exosuits that enhanced their size and strength. Each carried advanced weapons, and their helmets featured sensor arrays that swept the surroundings continuously. One of the figures approached Markella, the faceplate of their helmet retracting to reveal features that were both alien and yet somehow familiar. A species she had heard of but never encountered. "Administrator Markella?" the figure asked, voice modulated through a translation unit. "Lieutenant Chen of the UES Retribution Marines. We're here to help." Markella stared at the human, for that's what this must be, in disbelief. "How did you find us? We sent the beacon, but—" "We were patrolling the Gamma sector when we detected your emergency signal," the lieutenant explained. "Captain Murphy ordered an immediate response." The human gestured to the armed figures securing the tunnel. "We've neutralized the raiders in this section using non-lethal pulse grenades. Medical and engineering teams are inbound." As if on cue, more humans appeared from the tunnel, these wearing different uniforms and carrying equipment rather than weapons. They moved with purpose, some heading toward the injured colonists, while others began setting up unfamiliar machinery. "Your life support systems are critically damaged," Lieutenant Chen continued. "Our engineers are installing modular fusion generators to stabilize your environment. Medical teams are bringing portable life support units for the most vulnerable." Markella felt her legs weaken as the reality of rescue finally registered. A human medic noticed her distress and moved quickly to support her. "Administrator, you're showing signs of oxygen deprivation," the medic said, helping her to a seated position. "Please, let me administer supplemental oxygen." As the cool rush of air filled her lungs, Markella looked around at the transformation taking place. Human soldiers efficiently neutralized the remaining raiders. Engineers connected power conduits to restore critical systems. Medics moved among the injured, stabilizing the most critical cases with technology far beyond what the settlement possessed. "The children, she said suddenly, remembering. Elder Arsha took them to the deepest chambers. We've located them, Lieutenant Chen assured her. They're safe. Our teams are bringing them supplemental air and food supplies now. In the orbital space above Kepler 874b, the Retribution maintained position, its weapon systems trained on the disabled raider vessels. On the bridge, Captain Murphy reviewed the ongoing operation data with methodical attention. Status of the colony, she asked. Engineering teams report successful installation of 2 primary fusion generators. Commander Wei reported. Atmospheric processors are online and functioning. Life support has been stabilized in 70% of habitable areas, with work continuing on the remaining sections. Casualties? Lieutenant Dasgupta's expression was solemn. 87 colonists confirmed dead, mostly from the initial attack and subsequent tunnel collapses. 234 injured, 43 critically. Medical teams are prioritizing the most severe cases. Murphy nodded, absorbing the information. And the raiders? 26 neutralized with non-lethal measures. 14 killed before our arrival. Lieutenant Commander Okafor reported. Their command vessel has been secured. The captain is in custody. Bring him aboard, Murphy ordered. I want to know who authorized this attack and why. As the bridge crew carried out her instructions, Murphy turned her attention to the communication officer. Lieutenant Ramirez, establish a direct link with the settlement administrator. I'd like to speak with them personally. Within minutes, the main view screen activated to show Markella, now recovered enough to stand, though still visibly exhausted. The Zilani administrator regarded the human captain with a mixture of gratitude and wary curiosity. Administrator Markella, Murphy began, inclining her head slightly in respect. I'm Captain Jaya Murphy of the United Earthship Retribution. I regret that we couldn't arrive sooner. Captain Murphy, Markella responded, her translator rendering her musical language into standard. Your arrival saved 20,000 lives. There are no words in any language to express our gratitude adequately. Murphy's expression softened slightly. No gratitude is necessary. We responded as any sentient being should when others are in danger. She paused, then continued more formally. I must inform you that we've secured the raiders responsible for the attack on your settlement. Their leader will be questioned regarding the motivation and any potential wider threat. Markella's ridges pulsed with surprise. You captured them alive, even after what they did? Yes, Murphy confirmed. They will face justice through proper legal channels. This is our way. The Zilani administrator seemed to consider this, then nodded slowly. A mercy they did not show us. Perhaps there is wisdom in your approach that we might learn from. My medical and engineering teams report they'll need approximately 72 hours to stabilize your settlement completely. Murphy continued. With your permission, I'd like to establish a temporary base of operations on the surface to coordinate these efforts. Of course, Markella agreed immediately. Whatever you require is yours. She hesitated, then asked, Captain, forgive my ignorance, but I am unfamiliar with your species and government. The United Earthship? Are you from beyond the Concordiate territories? A slight smile touched Murphy's lips. In a manner of speaking, humanity has only recently begun to expand beyond our home system. The Retribution is an exploratory vessel with defensive capabilities. We were charting the boundaries of known space when we detected your signal. Then it was fortune indeed that brought you within range of our desperate message, Markella said. Perhaps, Murphy allowed. Or perhaps something more. Either way, we're here now, and will remain until your settlement is secure. As the communication ended, Commander Wei approached the captain's position. The raider commander has been brought aboard, Captain. He's in the brig awaiting interrogation. Murphy nodded. I'll speak with him shortly. She turned her gaze back to the view screen, now showing the damaged but recovering settlement. Maintain orbital position and continue support operations. I want regular updates on the colony's status." "Yes, Captain." Wei hesitated, then added, "The crew is talking, Captain, about how we happened to be close enough to receive the colony's distress call. The probability of our patrol intersecting with their signal was astronomically low." Murphy's expression revealed nothing. "Sometimes, Commander, the universe aligns in unexpected ways. The important thing is that we were there to help when needed." Wei studied his captain's face for a moment, then nodded and returned to his duties. Murphy remained standing, her eyes on the slowly rotating planet below. Whatever thoughts or doubts might have occupied her mind remained carefully concealed behind her professional demeanor. In the crystal-lined chambers of the Aurora settlement, the work of recovery continued at a remarkable pace. Human engineers, working alongside Zilani technicians, restored power systems and repaired structural damage with efficiency that bordered on miraculous. Medical teams stabilized the injured and established a field hospital in the settlement's largest cavern. Markella walked through the transformed community, observing the cooperation between her people and these unexpected saviors. The fear that had gripped the settlement for months had been replaced by cautious hope and growing curiosity about the humans who had appeared from the void to rescue them. In one of the deeper chambers, she found Elder Arsha sitting with a group of human medical personnel, engaged in what appeared to be an impromptu cultural exchange. The ancient Zilani was demonstrating the traditional crystal songs, tapping specific formations to produce harmonic tones that resonated throughout the chamber. The humans watched with evident fascination, occasionally asking questions that Arsha answered with patient wisdom. "The crystals remember," the elder was explaining as Markella approached. "Each vibration, each song, becomes part of their structure. When we sing to them, we are not simply making music, we are recording our stories for future generations." A human doctor leaned forward, clearly intrigued. "So these formations are both culturally and technologically significant to your people?" "They are not separate concepts to us," Arsha replied with a gentle smile. "What you call culture and technology flow from the same source, our relationship with the world around us." Markella observed the interaction with quiet approval before continuing her rounds. In the engineering sections, Talsor worked alongside human specialists, his initial wariness having given way to professional respect as they collaborated on restoring the settlement systems. "Their approach is different from ours," he told Markella when she inquired about the progress. "More direct, perhaps less elegant, but undeniably effective. Their modular technology can be adapted to almost any situation with minimal modification." "And they freely share this technology?" Markella asked, surprised. Talsor nodded. "They call it the Good Samaritan Protocol, apparently a cultural reference from their homeworld. When they encounter a civilization in distress, they are authorized to provide whatever aid is necessary, regardless of prior contact or diplomatic relations." "A remarkably altruistic policy," Markella observed. "Indeed," Talsor agreed. "Though I suspect there may be practical benefits as well. They're learning as much from us as we are from them." In the medical bay, Markella found Caravan, the young technician whose sacrifice had made their rescue possible. Against all expectations, she had survived the radiation exposure, though her recovery would be long and difficult. Human medical technology had stabilized her condition, counteracting the worst effects of the radiation poisoning. "Administrator," Kara greeted weakly as Markella approached her bed. "Have you met them, the humans?" Markella smiled, taking the young woman's hand. "I have. They're quite remarkable beings." "I knew someone would come," Kara whispered. "When I sent the signal, I could feel it reaching out, farther than we ever imagined possible." "Rest now," Markella urged gently. "You've done more than enough for one lifetime. As evening approached by the settlement's artificial cycle, Captain Murphy herself descended to the surface, accompanied by a small delegation from the Retribution. Markella greeted them in the central chamber, now restored to full power and function. "Captain Murphy," she said, performing the traditional Zalani greeting gesture. "Welcome to Aurora Settlement. We are honored by your presence." Murphy returned the gesture with surprising accuracy. "The honor is ours, Administrator. Your people's resilience is remarkable." A formal dinner had been arranged in the visitor's honor, combining traditional Zalani cuisine with adaptations suitable for human physiology. As they dined, conversation flowed more easily, cultural barriers gradually lowering as mutual curiosity overcame initial reservations. "I've spoken with the Raider commander," Murphy informed Markella quietly during a lull in the conversation. "He's provided valuable information about their operation and motivation." Markella's ridges pulsed with interest. "What did you learn?" "The attack was not random," Murphy confirmed. "Your settlement was specifically targeted because of the crystal formations unique to this world. Apparently, the specific composition has properties valuable for certain advanced weapon systems." "So they came to steal our primary resource," Markella concluded bitterly. "Yes," Murphy nodded. "But there's more. They were operating under contract to a third party, an arms dealer operating in the fringe systems. We've transmitted this information to our command structure. Other ships will be dispatched to investigate further." "And what becomes of the raiders themselves?" Murphy's expression hardened slightly. "They'll face justice according to interstellar law. The attack on your settlement constitutes a war crime under multiple conventions. They'll be held accountable." As the meal concluded, Elder Arsha approached Captain Murphy, her ancient form moving with ceremonial dignity. The conversations around the table quieted as the spiritual leader addressed the human captain. "Captain Murphy of Earth," she began, her translator rendering her musical tones into standard. "The crystals have sung your arrival into their memory. Generations hence, your deed will resonate in these caverns." She extended her hands, presenting a small crystal formation that pulsed with internal light. "This is the heart of home, our most sacred relic. For 5,000 years, it has remained within our keeping, passed from elder to elder." Her eyes, ancient but clear, fixed on Murphy's. "I give it now to you, as a symbol of our pledge." Murphy accepted the crystal with evident surprise. "Elder Arsha, I'm deeply honored, but I cannot accept such a significant cultural artifact." "You misunderstand," Arsha said gently. "I do not give it to you to keep. I give it to you to carry, to take back to your people as a message. The Zalani pledge that wherever humanity suffers injustice, we will answer. Your kindness will be passed forward through the generations." A hush fell over the gathering as the significance of the gesture registered. Markella watched as Murphy carefully cradled the crystal, visibly moved by the elder's words. "On behalf of humanity," Murphy responded after a moment, her voice steady despite the emotion evident in her eyes. "I accept this pledge and offer the same in return. Wherever the Zalani face darkness, humanity will bring light." The formal exchange complete, conversation gradually resumed, though with a different quality than before. Less the cautious dialogue of strangers, more the warm communication of allies. As the evening progressed, Markella found herself standing beside Captain Murphy near one of the larger crystal formations. The human captain seemed transfixed by the play of light within the translucent structure. "They're beautiful," Murphy observed quietly. "I understand now why your people built your home around them." "Beauty was only part of the reason," Markella explained. "The crystals provide natural radiation shielding and help regulate the cavern temperature. They're also excellent conductors for certain types of energy, which is why they're valuable for your weapons technology as well. It seems..." Murphy turned to face the administrator directly. I've been authorized to offer your settlement ongoing protection. We can install a permanent early warning system and station a response vessel within rapid deployment range. Markella's ridges pulsed with surprise. Such generosity to a people you've only just met. It's who we are, Murphy said simply. Or at least, it's who we're trying to be. She glanced around at the recovering settlement. Humanity's history isn't without darkness. Administrator, we've had our share of conflicts, prejudices, and mistakes. But we've learned that extending a hand in friendship, even, perhaps especially, to those different from ourselves, brings out the best in us. The captain's communicator chimed softly, interrupting the moment. Murphy here, she answered. Captain, came Commander Wei's voice. Long-range sensors have detected an incoming vessel. Concordiate registry, likely responding to the colony's distress signal, though much delayed. Acknowledged, Murphy replied. Maintain position but stand down from combat alert. They're allies. She closed the communication and turned back to Markella. It seems your regular protectors have finally arrived. Better late than never, I suppose, Markella said with a touch of irony. Though I confess, I'm glad it was the retribution that answered our call first. As am I, Murphy agreed. She hesitated, then continued. Administrator, there's something I should tell you about our presence here. Something that didn't make it into the official report. Markella tilted her head questioningly. Oh, the probability of us detecting your distress signal was statistically insignificant, Murphy admitted. We were well outside the signal's theoretical range. By all rational analysis, we should never have received your beacon. Yet you did, Markella observed. Yes. Murphy glanced at the crystal formation beside them. Our science officer has a theory. She believes the crystal formations throughout your settlement may have created a unique amplification effect, focusing your signal like a lens focuses light. Meaning that of all the directions your beacon could have traveled, it was somehow directed precisely toward our position. Murphy's expression was thoughtful. Some of my crew view it as mere coincidence. Others see the hand of Providence. And you, Captain, what do you believe? Murphy considered the question carefully before answering. I believe that in a universe of seemingly random events, patterns emerge that defy simple explanation. Whether we call those patterns coincidence, fate, or something else entirely. She shrugged slightly. What matters is that we were there to help when you needed us most. 3 days later, the Retribution prepared to depart. The settlement had been fully stabilized, its defenses significantly upgraded with human technology. The arriving Concordiate vessel had expressed both gratitude and surprise at finding a previously unknown human warship already rendering aid. In the settlement's docking bay, now restored to full functionality, Markella stood with a delegation of colonists to bid farewell to their rescuers. Captain Murphy and her senior officers had come down for a final meeting before departure. The early warning satellites are online and fully operational, Lieutenant Dasgupta reported, handing a control interface to Talsor. They'll detect any unauthorized approach well before it reaches orbital range. The sonic dampeners we've installed throughout the settlement will neutralize the specific frequencies used by the Raiders' disruptors. Talsor accepted the device with a respectful nod. We've integrated the systems with our existing security network. Your technology complements ours remarkably well. Trader Voss Remun stepped forward, his trade vestments once again immaculate. Captain Murphy, I've formalized the trade agreements we discussed. Human vessels will be welcome at all Zalani outposts, with preferential terms for essential supplies. And human convoys will provide escort for Zalani merchant ships through contested regions, Murphy confirmed. The arrangement benefits us both. Elder Arsha approached last, her ancient hands extended in the traditional blessing gesture. The crystals have sung your deeds, Captain Murphy. Your light will resonate in our home for generations to come." Murphy bowed her head in respect. "And the Heart of Home crystal will be presented to Earth's leadership as a symbol of our alliance. Your message will be heard." As the human officers prepared to return to their ship, Markella stepped forward for a final word with Captain Murphy. "When we sent our desperate call into the void, I never imagined who might answer," she admitted. "Now I find myself grateful it was humanity that heard us first." Murphy smiled. "Perhaps it wasn't chance at all. Administrator, perhaps your call and our presence were always meant to align." "Perhaps," Markella agreed. "Either way, the Aurora settlement stands as testimony to what can happen when different peoples reach across the stars to help one another. A testimony I hope will be repeated many times across the galaxy," Murphy said. She extended her hand in the human gesture of farewell, which Markella carefully returned. "Until we meet again, Administrator Markella." "Until then, Captain Murphy." From the observation deck, Markella and the settlement's leadership watched as the Retribution departed orbit, its massive form graceful despite its size. As the human warship activated its jump drive, creating a swirling vortex of blue-white energy, its communication array transmitted a final message. "This is UES Retribution departing Kepler system. Wherever injustice cries, humanity will answer." The message echoed through the restored chambers of the settlement, reaching even the deepest crystal formations, where the children now played without fear. Elder Arsha smiled as she heard it, her ancient fingers tapping a specific pattern against the nearest crystal surface, embedding the words into the living memory of their home. 6 months later, the Aurora settlement had not only recovered, but thrived. The upgraded defenses and regular human patrols had created a security that allowed the colonists to focus on expansion rather than survival. The Crystal Gardens, once neglected during the long crisis, bloomed with renewed vigor under the careful tending of Elder Arsha and her apprentices. In the settlement's communications hub, now expanded and modernized with human technology, Markella reviewed the latest trade reports with satisfaction. The agreement with Earth had opened new markets for their crystal exports, carefully regulated to prevent the weaponization that had made them targets. "Administrator," a young technician called from the monitoring station. "Incoming transmission from the Border Patrol." Markella moved to the main screen, where the image of a human officer appeared, Captain Donovan of the UES Vigilant, one of the ships now regularly patrolling the region. "Administrator Markella," the captain greeted her. "Routine report. All secure in your sector." "Thank you, Captain," Markella replied. "Any news from Earth?" "Actually, yes." The human's expression brightened. The Heart of Home crystal was formally presented to the United Earth Council last week. They've established a new initiative in response, the Aurora Protocol, named after your settlement. "Oh, what does this protocol entail?" "Expanded patrols of developing sectors, improved emergency response capabilities, and formal alliance offers to non-aligned worlds." The captain smiled. "The first deployment under the new protocol leaves next month. 3 ships, heading for the Perseus Arm." Markella felt her ridges pulse with pleasure at the news. "So our experience has led to greater protection for others." "Exactly," Captain Donovan confirmed. As Captain Murphy said when she presented the crystal, "Today, we recognize not just a new ally in the Zilani, but a new purpose for humanity among the stars." After the transmission ended, Markella made her way to the Crystal Garden where Elder Arsha spent much of her time. She found the ancient Zilani tending to a particularly vibrant formation, surrounded by a group of children learning the traditional songs. "Elder," Markella said, approaching with respect. "News from Earth. It seems our story has inspired them to extend their protection to others beyond our settlement." Arsha nodded, unsurprised. "The crystals remember, child. One vibration leads to another, expanding outward in patterns we cannot always predict, but always belonged to the greater harmony. You suspected this would happen when you gave Captain Murphy the heart of home, Markella realized. I hoped, the elder corrected gently. Hope is a powerful force, powerful enough to cross the void between stars and bring light where darkness seemed certain. Markella gazed at the crystal garden, now restored to its full splendor. Throughout the cavern, the formations pulsed with inner light that seemed brighter somehow than she remembered from before the attack. They thought no help was coming, she mused, echoing the desperate fears they had all shared during those dark days. And then a human warship came roaring from the void. And now many ships roar through many voids, bringing help to those who need it, Elder Arsha added, her ancient eyes twinkling. Oh, worthy legacy, wouldn't you say? Markella could only nod in agreement as she watched the children singing to the crystals, embedding their stories of hope and rescue into the living memory of their home. Stories that would resonate for generations to come, across the stars and back again.